In a world where superpowers jockey for control over resources and influence, a single spark in the Caribbean could ignite a conflict that reshapes global alliances forever. What if the United States, driven by fears of foreign encroachment and the lure of vast oil reserves, launched a full-scale operation against Venezuela? Today, we're diving into a strategic breakdown of this hypothetical showdown, exploring not just the military moves, but the geopolitical chess game behind them, the potential pitfalls for both sides, and the lessons it could teach us about modern warfare. Stick around, because by the end, you'll understand why this isn't just about tanks and ships. It's about the future of hemispheric power. Let's break it down step by step, starting with the historical echoes that make this scenario so chillingly plausible. To grasp why tensions in the southern Caribbean are boiling over, we need to rewind to the Cold War era, when the United States viewed Latin America as its backyard under the Monroe Doctrine. This 19th century policy warned European powers against interfering in the Western Hemisphere. But today, it's being dusted off in response to new players like Russia and China cozying up to Venezuela. Reports from intelligence circles suggest that Moscow and Beijing aren't just sending diplomatic envoys. They're negotiating for permanent military footholds, which Washington sees as a direct challenge to its dominance. Add to that Venezuela's staggering oil reserves, the largest in the world, and you have a recipe for confrontation. The U.S. has already begun squeezing Venezuela's economy by intercepting oil tankers, a move that's more than sanctions. It's economic warfare designed to starve the regime of funds before any kinetic action begins. But this isn't happening in a vacuum. The reactivation of old bases signals a shift from containment to preparation, reminding us of how the U.S. ramped up in the Gulf before operations like Desert Storm. Consider the Roosevelt Roads naval station in Puerto Rico, shuttered since 2004 but now buzzing with activity. Once the crown jewel of U.S. naval power in the region, it's being repurposed as a forward operating hub capable of supporting everything from fighter jets to logistics trains. This isn't about nostalgia, it's strategic positioning. By revitalizing this site, the U.S. gains a launch pad, just a short flight from Venezuelan shores, allowing for rapid deployment of air assets that could overwhelm defenses in minutes. Similarly, the Henry E. Rolson Airport in the U.S. Virgin Islands is evolving from a tourist gateway into a military lifeline, handling heavy transports that ferry in supplies and troops. These moves echo the infrastructure buildups seen in the Pacific during World War II, where island-hopping bases turned the tide against Japan. Here, the goal is to create a network of outposts that encircle Venezuela, cutting off escape routes and enabling sustained operations without overextending supply lines from the mainland. Shifting our lens to the naval chessboard, the U.S. has assembled a formidable task force tailored for this theater. Take the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers like the USS Jason Dunham and USS Stockdale. These aren't just warships. They're multifaceted platforms that blend offense and defense. The Jason Dunham specializes in electronic warfare, capable of jamming enemy radars and communications to sow chaos in Venezuelan command structures. It's like blinding an opponent before the fight even starts. A tactic proven effective in conflicts like the Kosovo War, where electronic suppression paved the way for air dominance. Meanwhile, the Stockdale acts as the fleet's guardian, its Aegis system ready to swat down incoming missiles, drawing from lessons learned in the Red Sea against Houthi threats. But the real indicator of intent is the USS Wasp, an amphibious assault ship built for projecting power ashore. With its ability to launch Marines via helicopters and landing craft, it screams ground invasion, not mere blockade. This mirrors the amphibious operations in Iraq, where such ships facilitated rapid seizures of key terrain. Not to be overlooked is the role of cruisers like the USS Lake Erie, which serves as the nerve center for the entire operation. From its advanced command suite, It coordinates air and sea assets, ensuring seamless integration that maximizes U.S. advantages in technology and training. Positioned near Trinidad and Tobago, ships like the USS gravely seal off southern approaches, preventing Venezuelan forces from flanking or escaping into open waters. This blockade strategy harkens back to the Cuban Missile Crisis, where naval quarantine forced a Soviet retreat. Yet modern twists include subsurface threats, nuclear-powered attack submarines lurking undetected, ready to strike with torpedoes that pack the punch of over 1,000 pounds of TNT. These subs don't just hunt, they gather intel, disrupt supply lines, and deter reinforcements from afar, embodying the silent service's evolution since the Cold War submarine duels. Air power, however, is where the U.S. truly shines in this scenario. Bombers like the B-52 Stratofortress and B-1 Lancer represent the long arm of American might, launching from continental bases to deliver cruise missiles without ever entering hostile airspace. The B-52's endurance allows for loitering strikes, while the B-1's speed enables surgical hits on fortified positions, much like their roles in Afghanistan against Taliban bunkers. Closer to the action, MQ-9 Reapers from Roosevelt Roads would provide persistent surveillance, eliminating mobile threats with precision munitions. F-35 stealth fighters lead the charge, slipping past radars to neutralize S-300 systems, Russian-supplied defenses that Venezuela relies on. This air campaign draws parallels to the opening salvos of the Gulf War, where stealth tech dismantled Iraqi air defenses overnight. Supporting it all are V-22 Ospreys for special ops insertions and KC-130 tankers to keep jets fueled mid-mission. Turning the sky into a U.S.-controlled domain, logistics often decide wars, and here the C-17 Globemasters play a pivotal role shuttling in armor, ammunition, and personnel to sustain the fight. Without these workhorses, even the mightiest fleet grinds to a halt, as seen in the logistical nightmares of Vietnam. But victory isn't assured. Venezuela's defenses, though outmatched, could prolong the conflict through asymmetric means. With over 4 million militia members, they could mount guerrilla resistance, leveraging jungle terrain for ambushes akin to Vietnam's Viet Cong tactics. Coastal missile batteries and fast boats, bolstered by cartel networks, might harass U.S. ships, blending with civilian traffic to evade detection. Russian-supplied drones, like the Shahed, could launch swarming attacks on U.S. bases, forcing costly defensive measures and echoing Ukraine's drone warfare innovations. From Venezuela's viewpoint, survival hinges on hybrid warfare, combining conventional forces with irregular tactics to bleed the invader. Their S-300s and coastal patrols aim to deny sea access, while cartels use smuggling routes for sabotage, potentially disrupting U.S. supply chains. This mirrors Hezbollah's 2006 resistance against Israel, where asymmetry turned superiority into stalemate. Russia and China's involvement adds layers, drones from Moscow, perhaps cyber support from Beijing, escalating risks of wider conflict. Yet, U.S. P-8 Poseidon aircraft counter this with superior surveillance, tracking subs and designating targets, their electronic warfare suites jamming Venezuelan nets, much like in the South China Sea skirmishes. Strategically, the U.S. aims for regime change by dismantling Maduro's military and cartel alliances, using overwhelming fire to seize oil fields and install a friendly government. This could secure energy independence while curbing narco-trafficking, but at what cost? Civilian casualties, regional instability, and backlash from Latin American neighbors might erode support, reminiscent of the Iraq quagmire. Venezuela, conversely, bets on attrition, mobilizing masses and seeking international sympathy to portray the U.S. as aggressor, potentially drawing in allies for a proxy war. Expanding our analysis, this scenario ties into broader global trends, the resurgence of great power competition. China's Belt and Road investments in Venezuela mirror its African plays, while Russia's arms sales echo its Syrian interventions. Oil remains the wild card. Control it, and you influence global prices, as OPEC manipulations have shown. But environmental factors add complexity. Climate change could exacerbate migration crises from a destabilized Venezuela, straining U.S. borders further. What lessons emerge? First, technology trumps numbers in symmetric fights, but asymmetry levels the field. Second, bases like Roosevelt Roads underscore geography's enduring role. Third, economic warfare precedes bullets, as tanker seizures demonstrate. For policymakers, this highlights the perils of ignoring hemispheric threats, urging diplomacy over force. Yet, if push comes to shove, the U.S.'s integrated approach, naval shields, air hammers, and ground anvils, positions it for swift victory, provided it navigates the political minefield. In wrapping up, this hypothetical U.S.-Venezuela clash isn't just military speculation. It's a mirror to our world's fragility. By examining strategies, counters, and implications, we see how old doctrines meet new realities. Whether it averts war or sparks one, understanding these dynamics empowers us to advocate for peace. Thanks for joining this deep dive. Hit subscribe for more geopolitical breakdowns and let me know in the comments. Do you think diplomacy can still win the day? See you next time.